I just realized I'm filming this on a Sunday. My outfit is so appropriate. So Elon Musk is made silly yet again. Oh, Elon, you simply love to make silly. And I know I'm a little late to this, but about a week ago, Don Lemon, in an attempt to launch his independent news show, the Don Lemon Report, he interviewed Elon Musk because this program was supposed to be an X exclusive, one of like 3. My personal take is that Don Lemon is just enough of an online liberal and just enough of a tech boomer to not understand that posting his content on X.com is not going to get him anywhere. It's a really dumb idea and a bad deal, and unless he was getting paid directly to do this, there was no reason he should have done it. Not that it even matters anymore, because Elon Musk canceled this deal and he didn't want Don Lemon to post it. I've seen some of the interview and it's really silly, but I want to kind of go into what he's saying in terms of how his own website is breaking his brain and like deteriorating his ability to think. Not that it was all that strong to begin with, which is exactly what makes him susceptible to it becoming worse. Time for the Don Lemon Hour. Hit me with the Lemon Report.
Welcome to the Don Lemon Show, everyone.
I don't know what nephew he has that's like a freshly graduated graphic designer or something. Whoever told him to go for like the sickly translucent yellow, I don't know if I would trust their judgment on that.
We're still here.
We're still here. Why isn't anyone watching?
Contrary to what you might have heard, we weren't canceled by X. Yes, after months of begging me, wooing me to offer some exclusive content on his platform, Elon Musk decided to scrap the deal. But our plan is, and always has been, to release this show everywhere.
So was he mad that it wasn't exclusive, or was he mad because he looks like a moron in it?
So what went wrong? I don't know. But my hope is that you learned something about both Elon and me, 2 people who come from completely different vantage points on almost every single issue.
I don't even understand the restrictions of, like, what happened? Explain to me. Interesting that he doesn't offer any commentary, considering Elon has no problem offering his opinion on how the conversation went. But there's something so frustrating and, like, impotent about him being like, I just hope you learn something about both of us. This is the richest man in the world. You can have a little bit of contention. You could be a little, like, pointed, but apparently this softball shit is too hard even for Elon, so...
You say you're a free speech absolutist, right? And there are no conditions?
Yeah. Free speech is as much as possible within the bounds of the law.
He really had to think about that.
As much as possible within the bounds of the law.
Within the bounds of the law. What does that even mean? I think he's saying the classic free speech absolutist thing is like, you can't say you want to like do violence, but right-wingers imply violence in almost everything they say.
Where do you see X.com's role in the future of news and journalism, Elon?
Well, I think I see the X as it's already the number one source of news in the world. So it is the number one way that people actually are informed about any kind of news, meaning real-time events, is on the X platform.
People call it X.com. Does he not want people to call it that? He says the X platform. That's just a, whole separate issue. So wait, the question was, where does he see the future of X in relation to like media? And he just says it's the number one. It's the number one for news. It's actually the biggest news. It's actually the biggest news. So I guess there's nowhere else to go from there.
There's nothing even close for real-time news. So we also want to expand upon that.
What do you mean expand upon that? Expand upon what? Being the number one for news? I think I see the point he's trying to make. It's like everyone, goes on Twitter. Not everyone anymore. A lot of people go on Twitter to find out news about political things, or like a shooting or a new law passing that restricts trans people from, using crosswalks or something. A lot of people learn that real-time information from content aggregated on Twitter. But that also comes with a lot of spin and a lot of bias that is not good for the number one news platform. It's not really another news platform. The New York Times app. You can play Wordle on there. You can't do that on X. Interesting that Elon's the gamer and yet there's no video games on X. I'd be a lot more interested in Twitter if there was video games on there. I'd be on there every damn day playing my little video games.
So instead of just doing what used to be called tweets, you can now do long-form posts. You can post an entire essay. In fact, you can now post an entire book to the platform.
Why would you do that? You can. Has anyone? Someone should just buy a bunch of sponsored tweets and post like entire novels.
So you can do up to 4-hour video segments.
So you're telling me that you can type words and post them, and you can also record videos and post them. That's crazy to me.
We really want news in whatever form it is, or information, I should say, in whatever form it is, to be available on our platform, whether it's short, long, text, pictures, video, whatever the case may be.
Yeah, that's how Twitter works and has always worked. You just made it so you can type more words and post longer videos. Does he ever do interviews with anyone that's not like a complete sycophant? Like the last time I saw him talking publicly was with Ben Shapiro, and he still looked like an idiot. He should do more of these. He should be talking to interviewers all the time. I want to see the truth of the real media.
You reached out over the summer and you said it would be great to have Maddow, Don Lemon, others on the left put on this platform.
This is what I'm saying. Elon is saying that so his website isn't only used by white supremacists and far-right crazy people, grifters and haters. At least one like lib needs to like X. At least one. And Don Lemon is a funny one to choose. Can you imagine if Rachel Maddow was posting on X the kind of like unbelievable things that would be in the replies to that? I mean, Don Lemon's already getting enough. I'm going to try to pay attention and figure out like what even is their problem with this. I feel like this is the easiest, most softball interview.
You receive full support. The digital town square is for all. What do you mean by that?
That's a really dumb question. I do feel like Don Lemon is naively believing that Elon is genuine and not motivated by making himself look better or his platform look less racist. When the reality is content like this is not going to perform well on this platform because of the slant it already has to the right. Right-wingers overwhelmingly are the ones with blue check marks, and they use that to their advantage to spread misinformation and do targeted harassment campaigns. It's gotten really bad. Don Lemon won't even ask questions related to that though, because he, again, naively believes that the X platform is an honest operator and not a mismanaged sham, basically curved to the complete whim of this, like, ketamined out weirdo.
I just mean that we want to make sure that there are a wide variety of viewpoints.
Oh, they want to make sure. We have too many of one kind of viewpoint. We need some more.
For example, Tucker Carlson, who most people will view as being on the right.
I think he would view himself as being on the right. What do you mean? Could you ever say that Tucker Carlson was on the left? Any questions, Don Lemon?
We want to have prominent names on the left as well to provide different points of view, as well as centrists. Just basically a wide range of viewpoints on the platform, so users can hear different opinions. They can hear, what's your point of view, what's Tucker's point of view, and
dude, he's just saying the same thing again. We want to have a wide variety of points of view. Your point of view, my point of view, Tucker's point of view. We want to have a lot of different kinds of point of view on the platform. Very unique.
And people can make their own decision about what they believe.
You didn't mean that I'm on the left? Did you think that?
I thought you were on the left, but yeah. I don't know. I'm used to, well, let's just say I don't know what the left is or the right is, frankly, these days, because
that kind of just blew my mind. How on God's green earth could you just admit that after being like, my platform needs to have the left and the right on it? But I don't know what those are anymore because of the world and how crazy it is.
Things can be quite polarized, but my impression was that you're more likely to be described as on the left than the right.
He has no idea. He doesn't know anything. Don Lemon is not a leftist. The left and right, when you're talking about mainstream media, is typically far right and centrist right. Liberals are right wing. It's inherent. They're capitalist. If you are capitalist, you are right wing. If you're anti-capitalist, you're left wing. I think that's a pretty clear and simple distinction and tracks with history as well. I think Don Lemon's more concerned with the aesthetics of Elon Musk's racism, anti-Semitism, mainly just the stuff he's posting on Twitter, and like maybe workplace practices or whatever. But I mean, this guy's a huge piece of shit. There's so much you can ask him.
My sense is you're sort of center left. I don't know. You tell me.
Well, did you ever watch me on CNN, or did you watch?
I saw segments.
Yeah.
But CNN is generally considered left.
Yeah.
I feel like he's just lying. I don't feel like he's ever watched CNN or watched him on CNN. Also, CNN being left is hilarious.
Why do I say CNN is generally considered left? I think if you look at any sort of media survey of what is on the left or right, I think they would say, like, for example, Fox is on the right and CNN is on the left.
Yeah, like this is how a baby understands politics. He can't describe why. It's just, people think that. People say that. So that's why I'm saying that. Because other people say that. I'm a super genius, by the way. I invented cars. I will give points to Don Lemon for just letting him talk and only pressing him on, like, explain why you're saying this. Like, what do you think that means? It's a good angle to get him to explain how he doesn't know anything about anything.
So that's what is it?
Am I missing something here?
Okay. Are you missing
Yes.
something?
Well, how would you describe yourself?
I would describe myself as someone who is I am independent in my thinking, and I vote for people based on the issues and how I feel about it, not necessarily because of political leaning of some sort.
He's purposefully politically colorblind, ignorant of greater issues and trends in history, whether purposefully to ease the guilt of being American or subconsciously. But there's no ever any justification for ever voting for a Republican politician under any circumstances. There's barely any justification for voting for Democrats. So saying, I'm an independent thinker is just a little silly, especially when you're talking to someone who doesn't understand what that means. He's just going to be like, oh, yeah, okay. Because he wants to move on really bad.
Well, I agree with that approach. I think that's generally how people should, take things.
Yeah, you should think. I can't, though, because I don't know the difference between left and right.
Like most citizens would think that they would agree with some things on the left, but not everything, or they agree on some things on the right, but not everything.
Like, when guys like this talk about left and right, they are literally talking about my team and the bad guys. They're not talking about actual political distinctions. And in America, you're talking about, again, far right and center right. It's a huge misconception in America that because liberals are the only institutional opposition to Republicans, they have to be on the left when they're not. Some, like 10 of them, and they're only within the party because there's no other way to operate as a leftist. But the Democratic Party platform is not a leftist platform whatsoever.
And maybe the answer is forever. How much longer are we going to have to call it the formerly known as Twitter? I mean, even Prince.
I mean, this is a dumb question to move on to after all that, but
Is it always going to be X?
It's definitely always going to be X.
no one's ever going to call it that. Sorry. I'm only calling it that because this is about Elon Musk, and I like calling it X.com to make fun of him because it sounds stupid.
You're in charge of an incredible platform, Elon. How do you feel that's going?
I think it's going pretty well so far.
Man, this guy is stupid.
We're seeing record usage.
That's good.
We've added a tremendous amount of functionality. I mentioned that it used to be that you could only do short, text and maybe a picture or something like that, short video.
A tremendous amount of functionality, referring to increasing the character length and the video length. That's tremendous functionality. Or it's the same functionality, there's just like more saturation of it, which actually, in my opinion, makes the platform worse.
We've added audio video calling. So you can not just do text DMs, you can do audio video calling.
Anyone do the audio video calling on X.com?
We've improved the algorithm, I think, significantly, and made the system faster and better. And
The system?
we improved the algorithm, I think,
Improved the algorithm significantly. Improved it. How? I don't know.
made the system faster and better.
And made the system faster. What does that mean? What system? This guy just says stuff. Maybe, fortunately, but a lot of people do not know what it's like to talk to someone who is full of shit, who is lying to you. Bad liars are the same kind of person. And you can always see it. He's just making shit up. We've improved the system. We've made it faster. The algorithms are better. You can see so many Nazi Pepe memes now. So fast.
That's reflected in the increased usage.
So let's talk about that. Because
Yeah, the increased usage is, how we know that all these things are working. The improved algorithm speed, the system, it's going up.
there was an article recently written about you saying that you, Donald Trump, and X were the most important people or places or whatever icons when it comes to the MAGA movement. Do you agree with that? How do you feel about that?
Well, I mean, there are nonsense articles written all the time, and I certainly wouldn't agree with that one. I put it in the nonsense category. So
I put it in the nonsense category in my head. Yeah, I have a kind of a system for stuff like that. Nonsense and non-nonsense. Elon's a technical genius. He's a billionaire mastermind. He's like Tony Stark.
the objective fact of the matter, in my opinion, was that a old Twitter was fundamentally a tool of the far left. And that was really, I think, a lot of it was due to being located in San Francisco, Berkeley. And so it wanted to essentially project the SF Berkeley political dogma worldwide.
There is no evidence of this. This is made up. The far left? Name one person.
You think it was far left?
Yes, I do.
I used to get, I actually got off the platform because I would get so much hate tweets when it was called in, so much hate tweets and just guff from right-wing conspiracy theorists being called everything from, fag.
Whoa, Don!
Sure. It's
nigger
the
to
internet,
everything.
And Elon's excuse is, well, that's the internet. But is that not counter to his entire point that Twitter was trying to project liberal values onto the world?
I mean, I've been called every name times 1,000.
Yeah.
Every name? He talked over him when he said it, but Don Lemon also was talking about racial slurs.
When they look at donations from a company, if a company donates literally 99% of all donations are to Democrats, does that strike you as a left-leaning?
Well, why would they donate to Republicans? I mean, I don't think corporations should donate at all, but are they supposed to donate to both? Would you have a problem if they donated only to right-wingers? I don't think you would.
A right-leaning
You mean the company donated? I understand what you're saying.
What I'm trying to tell you is that
He's so horrible at phrasing sentences, and he's like, shut up, I'm trying to talk to you. Listen, what I'm trying to tell you is that Twitter had employees that went to Twitter, and Twitter they donate money only to Democrats. Does that sound normal? Do you like that?
Twitter employees, people at Twitter, their political donations were 99%, literally 99%, to Democrats. That's obviously an extremely left-leaning group.
So employees at Twitter donated to politicians. So it wasn't even the company itself. So you have a problem with them hiring too many people that were donating to Democrats. Are they supposed to seek out conservatives in San Francisco to hire? This guy should go back to third grade.
So you're not going to endorse a candidate?
I may in the final...
He's going to endorse Trump. If he endorses someone, he will endorse Trump. 100%. I think he's going to do it like in 3 months or something. It's like not going to take that long.
But I don't know yet. I want to make a considered decision.
I want to read more libs of TikTok posts and then think about if I want to vote for Joe Biden or not. Yeah, I wonder what you're gonna decide. He's going to explain that he's voting for Donald Trump because the left has gone too far with this crazy gender madness. The border is being invaded by illegal immigrants that are stealing houses. The economy is bad, even though I'm the richest man in the world. But Donald Trump will make it better for Elon. He has no reason to ever vote for anyone other than a Republican. Donald Trump gave $2 trillion in tax cuts to the top 1% and to corporations during record profits. $2 trillion. That would solve like most of America's problems, that kind of money. So yeah, of course he's going to vote for Donald Trump. He has every reason to. He's deluded by right-wing propaganda that is on his platform that he is on all the time. And he has a financial incentive to stick with the Republican Party because they're the best friends of corporations. Democrats are just the girlfriend that corporations are cheating on.
You have been tweeting about the updates in the roasters. There's something that we should expect?
Sure. You did mention the roadster. So, look, I don't want to give away, much more than what I've said publicly, except that the roadster will be a collaboration between SpaceX and Tesla. So, you can expect some rockety stuff there.
A flying car?
No, he's just not gonna do it. This is ridiculous. This is a joke. Coming out the end of this year, buddy? Really? No, that will kill someone. That will murder someone. You're going to have a Tesla flying around exploding in the sky. Dude, what is his problem with this interview? What did Don Lemon do wrong? He loves the technology that Elon is promising that'll never come out. Liberals love that shit because it makes them feel like they're living in the future and like we're a civilized society when in reality we're a barbaric white supremacist expansionist state. Neo-feudalist oligopoly. Imperialist nightmare. But if we have a flying car, then we're just like we're in Star Trek and the Jetsons.
Anything that anyone else hasn't asked you about your controversial stuff that you tweet? You post a lot of controversial stuff. Is that considered blowing off steam?
Well, I guess I do enjoy using the platform.
He's on it like every day, all day. It's like sickening.
I mean, I do call the X platform the PvP or player versus player platform. So in video games, there's player versus like environment, where you're not playing against other people. And then there's PvP, which is like hardcore. You're actually playing against other people.
PvP is like hardcore. Yeah, I'm a gamer. Ever heard of PvP? This is so embarrassing. Yeah, I call the X platform the player versus player platform, where one player is racist and the other player is a person of color.
Some of the things that you post, a great replacement theory. You claim that Democrats, President Biden's immigration plan to open up the border, you said that the president is getting, and Democrats are doing it to get more votes. But undocumented immigrants cannot vote in federal elections, so how is that possible?
Right. Well, you're conflating two things. One is great replacement theory. The other is, which I don't subscribe to that.
He's just describing great replacement theory and then saying it's true and concerning.
If legal immigrants, which I think have a very strong bias to, at least everything I've read, it's a very strong bias to vote Democrat.
They can't vote. What's your argument? You have to verify your identity to register to vote, and illegal immigrants can't do that because they don't have documents.
The more that come into the country, the more they're likely to vote in that direction. But it is,
they can.
In my view, a simple incentive to increase voters, to Democrat voters.
This whole argument doesn't make any sense. It takes a really fucking long time to get your citizenship as an immigrant in America. Definitely longer than it would take for Joe Biden to utilize this supposed mass amount of new voters. I also think it's ridiculous when people imply that, like, allowing immigration is incentivizing anything. You give incentives to vote by doing policy that's good. That's how you incentivize. It's like people being like, you can't give people money. That's like bribing people to vote for you. It's like, no, I'm going to vote for people who give people money. That's what I want. Are you supposed to vote for people who don't serve your interests, who are doing things that you don't want? I'm going to vote the shit out of whoever wants to make undocumented immigrants assimilated into America as citizens immediately. That's my incentive.
A disproportionate number of legal immigrants go to blue states. They amplify the effect of a blue state vote. And the math, as I understand it, you can research this obviously very easily on it. It's pretty straightforward to research.
He said, look it up. I don't know. I can't explain it. Watch a YouTube video about it like I did.
So listen, let's talk more about the Great Replacement, because the first time that you posted on X about this Jewish conspiracy, you ended up apologizing.
I didn't call it a conspiracy. I just said that there's a simple matter of incentives. You don't need a conspiracy when you have basic incentives. In my view,
it is a conspiracy that they are giving incentives with intent to get votes that they can't get.
For the Democrat Party to foster.
Who's this guy? Don Lemon really should have asked him about Joe Biden's border bill, because they're certainly not incentivizing undocumented people. That bill's brutal to undocumented people. Why are there still kids in cages if they have all these incentives? Where's the incentives, Elon? What about when Kamala Harris famously said, do not come? Do not come.
To folks in this region who are thinking about making that dangerous trek to the United States-Mexico border, do not come. Do not come. The United States will continue to enforce our laws and secure our border.
Do you remember that? Do you know what day it is? Right-wing freakazoids be like, they're ushering in immigrants. And then Kamala Harris be like, this country of immigrants doesn't want you. Go away.
I'm talking about the Great Replacement theory is also part of a Jewish conspiracy theory. And when you did the tweet, or you responded to the tweet about that, you ended up apologizing, and which I think is, it's good that you ended up apologizing. You went to Auschwitz with Ben Shapiro.
He's like rolling his eyes, but he did apologize. Like, would you describe what you're apologizing for then?
So you said you learned your lesson. What did you learn?
I said I learned my lesson.
You said you learned your lesson when you apologized, and you said you went to Auschwitz. You saw what.
No, I was already aware of these things. And the nature of my comment that
I was already aware. I went to Auschwitz for fun, not because I had to make an apology.
A number of prominent Jewish philanthropists fund groups that they should really take a closer look at funding, because some of the groups they fund, I think, are anti-Semitic.
Yeah. Do you understand the connection between the two? There's a connection between, you said Democrats, the Great Replacement theory, but when it comes to the actual Great Replacement theory, originally it was started about Jewish people, as you said, flooding in the country, and then now people are using it for Democrats, saying the same thing about Democrats.
flooding.
In my view, it's a simple matter of incentives.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Great Replacement is basically the only difference is instead of Democrats doing the illegal immigrant incentives, it's Jewish people, like a Jewish elite, which many white supremacists on X.com in Elon Musk's replies will associate that with actual Jewish people in power, like Chuck Schumer, which I would say is anti-Semitic. But I don't know. Elon's, as he's getting pinker, is the authority on stuff like that. Look at how pale he was in the start of this. Don Lemon has to tell Elon what you are describing is the Great Replacement theory. You are describing it, attributing it to a different group of people, and that doesn't make it any less incorrect or any less of a conspiracy theory.
23 people murdered in El Paso by a shooter who used the same language that you use in that manifesto when you say Hispanic invasion. Is that not?
I didn't say an Hispanic invasion.
And you quoted a tweet that called it a Hispanic invasion.
If I quote something, it doesn't mean I agree with everything in it. It's just something that I think this is something worth people should consider.
I could quote retweet anything and be like, true. And that doesn't mean that I agree with everything in it, just the premise of it.
Why would you quote something that you didn't believe?
Because anything I quote is going to have a whole range of statements. Doesn't mean I agree with everything in it.
But he's agreeing with the premise of it. He's just replacing Hispanic with illegal.
If you moderated yourself more, if there was better content moderation on the platform, that you wouldn't have to answer these questions from reporters about the Great Replacement theory as it relates to
I don't have to
Democrats,
answer these questions.
the Great Replacement theory as it relates to Jewish people. Do you think that?
I don't have to answer questions from reporters.
Well, not with just the media. I mean, just the truth in general.
I care about the truth very much. That's why we have, for example, community notes on the X system, where in order for a community note to surface and provide corrective information about what somebody posts, and my posts are equally subject to this. I've been community noted many times. In order for a community note to surface, people who have historically disagreed must agree in order for a community note to surface. And all of the code for community notes is open source. All of the data is open source. So
I don't know what that has to do with anything. But you guys heard it here first, guys. Elon Musk said himself every community note is thoroughly vetted and accurate. So every time he gets community noted, it is 100% because he is lying and wrong on his platform. That's his statement, his words, not mine. Sorry.
It doesn't concern you that hate speech has gone. Research shows that it's gone up on the platform since you took over. That's not concerning to you?
I believe that is false. In fact, the research that I've seen says it went down.
The study from the Institute of Strategic Dialogue found that anti-Semitic tweets doubled from June 22 to February 2023. One study reported that as many as 86% of the posts reported for hateful content remained up after being reported. Hate speech on the platform is up.
So what they will typically do is they will count the number of posts, but not count the number of views. So what matters is, was that post given high visibility, or what did
But the problem is you're allowing these things on the platform and then not taking them down when they're reported. I don't understand. You can't be like, well, people didn't see it. People did see it, and then they reported it, and it stayed up.
If you look at the number of views of how many times was hate content viewed on our platform, it is down substantially.
That's also just not true. I think he just thinks different stuff is hateful. Like, people with blue check marks can say the N-word as much as they want, pretty much.
And you said you like transparency. I'm going to show you this, and
Don, you can get a study that will tell you whatever you want.
But these are just a handful of extremely. If you look at those anti-Semitic.
God, gross. You can find a study to tell you whatever you want, even though he was just earlier like, well, the data that I've seen says the opposite of what you're saying. Don Lemon didn't press him on where he got that data or who or how or where you find it.
And racist tropes and tweets. And as of this morning, they're still on X. And from your own content policy.
Yeah, like the question is, are you okay with this being allowed, this being reported, and this being left up? Is that fine with you? And the answer is yes. The answer is yes.
These posts should have been deleted, so why haven't they?
And that's also funny because, yes, these do violate the terms of service, and he ignores that.
These have been up there for a while.
Are they illegal?
They're not illegal, but they're hateful, and they can lead to violence. As I just read to you, the shooters, in all of these mass shootings, attributed social media to radicalizing.
So Don, you love censorship, is what you're saying.
Oh my God. Censorship. I mean, sure. Yeah, you should censor racists. Okay. When people are saying that, like, black people are not human beings. I think that should be not allowed. Gang stalking and harassment in the way many communities do on X.com, don't think that's okay.
Then why are you asking?
I believe in moderation, but I don't believe in
Censorship moderation is a propaganda word for censorship.
It's a propaganda word. You're just making stuff up.
Look, if something's illegal, we're going to take it down. If it's not illegal, then we're putting our thumb on the scale and we're being censors.
Okay, so he has an answer. Don Lemon needs to say, that's your answer. Congratulations. You are perfectly fine with hate speech on your platform and you will not take it down. That's fine. You just have to say it. Say that that comic is fine, even though the terms of service say you're not allowed to be racist.
You're putting your thumb on the scale for moderating hate speech. I mean, you don't put out child pornography. That's not...
He literally unbanned someone after they were banned for posting that kind of thing. Don Lemon should get his facts straight because he is okay with that. He looks like a Minecraft pig.
The laws in this country are put forward by the citizens. We're a democracy. If those laws are put in place by the people...
It's just not how America works, but I don't think he knows that.
If you go beyond the law, you're actually going beyond the will of the people.
Okay, agreed.
Private companies are not beholden to the will of the people. You're also talking about a global platform, not just an American one.
But if you are doing something that promotes hate and violence and ultimately leads to killing, you don't feel you have any responsibility not to do that? When the people who are doing it admittedly are saying...
There's articles all the time that lead to violence and killing. Don't they? Shouldn't they? Like, you're applying a differential standard to.
But that would never be in mainstream media.
Yeah, no CNN watcher is calling bomb threats into children's hospitals the way libs of TikTok fans do.
How do you feel about that when you see it?
I obviously disagree with that. I think it's not good at all. It's terrible.
But you don't want to
That's not good at all.
get rid of it on the platform, or at least moderate it.
The rules. What you're suggesting is censorship.
Yeah, so he doesn't want it. He wants it to be allowed. He just disagrees with it, which I don't think he does.
I guess have a disagreement because I do not believe in censorship that goes beyond the law, and you do. We have a difference of opinion in that regard.
I understand that, but these are your own rules on your own platform. These go against the rules on your platform. That's why I'm asking.
He's asking, why are your terms of service different for racists?
Which part of our content policy says that we should delete these things?
Your content policy talks about hate speech.
Yes, we don't promote hate speech.
But it's not allowed. That's the thing.
I guess you're not understanding what I'm saying. There's if there's you can find you can sign up right now and do 100 things that are hateful. But if nobody reads it.
Oh. But what if people do? Don needs to show him the views on the posts that he shows him because they're not zero.
You don't agree. We don't agree on this.
Yes, you want censorship and I don't.
No, I don't want censorship at all.
Yes, you do.
No.
I don't think Don Lemon should back down on this point. He should literally say, yes, I'm pro-censorship of anti-Semitic misinformation. Yes, I am. Sorry. I think that kind of stuff should not be allowed because I think it promotes violence. It is inherently violent.
I think
You desperately want censorship.
No, if I want a censorship...
You want censorship so bad you can taste it.
No, that's not true. It's not true. I think that there's right and wrong.
And now he's just being like a baby. You want censorship. You want censorship. I don't. I love Nazis on my platform.
That there is a certain responsibility that goes along with what you have on your platform and what you put out to the world. And I think that's important.
Explain it to him in Reddit terms. Show him Sam Raimi's Spider-Man and he'll understand. And he'll start tweeting shit like, great power comes with great responsibility.
I think we have a responsibility to adhere to the law, and if people want the law changed, they should talk to their elected representative and get the law changed, and then we will adhere to the law.
He said, change the law of America to make hate speech illegal, and then maybe I'll take down these horrible comics.
Okay, so listen, let's talk about diversity, equity, and inclusion. All right, that's been a target of yours lately on X.
Yeah, Elon's fully on board the DEI train. I did a video about how the right has turned DEI into a safety issue when it comes to airplanes. It's a very, very stupid issue, and Elon Musk, since I posted the video, ironically, has gone fully on board with it.
A repost of Ben Shapiro that you claim that DEI is killing people. Specifically, you point to medicine. You claim that DEI programs are putting people at risk. Do you really believe this to be true, and what evidence do you have to support it?
What I was referring to there was that if we lower the standards for doctors, such so that they, if the test for a doctor is lowered, then the probability of them making a mistake and killing someone is obviously going to be higher.
Yeah, if we started putting babies, like newborn babies, in the surgery room, I think that would actually not be good. Elon, I have great news for you. That's not happening. Standards for surgeons, whatever weird, random, arbitrary standards that you can't specifically name, are not being lowered. And it's really odd to imply that they are for women and minorities.
If the standards are lowered, then the probability that the surgeon will make a mistake is higher.
So the question is, have they been lowered? Which the answer is no. This is just a hypothetical that the right is collectively hallucinating into reality, and they're getting all worked up about this fake problem. It's just an excuse to point out people of color in positions that white people don't like them in. To me, I feel like it's an intimidation tactic to get people to know their place. Gross. It's fucked up.
What evidence do you have, though, that they're lowering the standards? There's no evidence of that.
I believe there is.
I believe there is.
Are you
No
saying they
evidence
have
of that.
not lowered the standards?
There's no evidence about lowering standards, and I think that there is.
I believe that is a false statement you're making.
Okay, well, we'll figure it out.
Yeah.
I think
the interesting thing is when this is posted on the X platform, there will be a whole bunch of things that rebut what you said and what I said.
Right.
And so people can then make their own decision based on the replies and the rebuttals and the community notes.
I don't have to know anything. Twitter got me. It's a little insidious how he's pointing out a great example of why he shouldn't have Twitter right now. He shouldn't own it at all. Because he's like, I'm lying and doing racialized, hateful propaganda. And I can do that as part of this civilized discussion with Don Lemon. And when it's posted to my massive global platform, people will take my side and boost all of the hateful lies that I'm saying. And they'll shit on you and harass you, Don Lemon.
and there's no evidence that standards are being lowered.
Okay.
That DEI is affecting medicine. Actually,
Okay, well-
only 5% of doctors
Yeah.
are black, and a small percent.
Yeah, well, I think you'll find that
minorities.
when this is posted to the X platform, that people will reply to it with evidence.
Okay.
Maybe I'm wrong. Let's see.
You're wrong. You're wrong. You don't have evidence, and you're like, maybe it'll show up on Twitter. Maybe. I don't know. It's the most pathetic dodge I've ever seen.
So there will be immediately in the replies people correcting me. There will be a community note that will correct me, which is attached to the actual post itself.
Do you think as many people
and
read the?
that's- Yes.
You think as many people read that as it reads your tweet?
Yes, in fact, and if there's a community note that happens later that where somebody didn't see, but they replied to that, or interacted with that post, we will notify them that there is now a community note correcting that post.
Just so you.
Whereas if you consider the conventional media, that doesn't happen. Conventional media makes false statements all the time and nobody ever hears the correction.
Nobody ever hears the correction. It's a wild assertion. This guy talks like a 14-year-old. It is pretty shocking to me how people can still take him seriously when he exaggerates and hyperbolizes everything. It's like, you don't think it happens because you personally haven't experienced it. That doesn't mean it's not real.
Do you believe that people are dying because medical standards, DEI is causing medical standards to be lowered? Do you actually believe people are dying because of that?
I believe that if we lower the standards for what it takes to become a doctor,
You're saying if we lower the standards,
Yes.
but do you believe people are dying because the standards are being lowered?
I don't
Or have
think
been
that is
lowered?
yet an issue, but it could become an issue.
Okay, so it's not an issue.
But the actual evidence in history shows the exact opposite. If you look at how minorities were treated by the medical system, most doctors,
No one who actually spouts this DEI shit actually genuinely cares about these issues, about how minorities are treated in medical fields. They don't care. It's propaganda. This issue only exists as a tool for them to be racist. And if you challenge it outside of those boundaries in any way, it's just a hypothetical what if, plausible deniability, vague bullshit.
Let's say a surgeon is asked to a surgeon in training is asked to do a series of operations under the supervision of a senior surgeon, and they get a bunch of those operations wrong. If that happens, and yet they are still approved to be a surgeon, the probability that someone will die, I think, at some point is high.
okay.
This is such a specific hypothetical. What if when someone was doing surgery and they were really bad? I think if they did surgery, they would be bad. I'm very intelligent.
I understand that, but that's a hypothetical. That doesn't mean it's happening.
I didn't say it's happening.
You didn't say it was happening.
I said it will.
It will. If it happens, it will happen.
If we lower standards, people will die.
I don't want people to die of stuff. Well, brave platform, Elon. See, he doesn't care or know about any of the history. He has no context for any of that because this isn't an issue he's genuinely interested or passionate about. That's why he's bullshitting his way through this part, because he doesn't know what to say.
If you make a mistake, causes someone to die, then more people will die than if we don't lower the standards. Therefore, we should not lower the standards.
But why do you think they're lowering the standards for minority doctors or women doctors or...
That's what that's what that article suggested, yes.
So it's not happening, but it is happening.
Do you believe that women and minority pilots are inherently less intelligent and less skilled than white male pilots?
No, I'm just saying that we should not lower the standards for them.
Okay, I'm interested.
You've repeatedly said that there's no evidence that standards are being lowered, and watch the replies showing all the evidence that it is.
Replies, though, on some...
He's literally talking about memes. This is a guy whose entire political opinion is formed by memes he sees on his platform. And you can tell, shallow, non-analysis. It's ridiculous. It is not a serious position.
In the replies to this, you will see how often the information is cited showing that indeed there are significant cases where standards are lowered.
Can't name one, can't find one, can't name a person, can't name a company, situation. Just look at the replies.
But I just want to tell you that that pilot that you talked about, in fact, was a woman pilot, landed the plane safely despite the major malfunction with the equipment. Boeing has taken responsibility for that incident, saying that it was caused by a faulty door panel. So I'm not sure what that had to do with lowering the standards for pilots when it was a faulty...
No, it's not lowering standards for pilots. It's the incentive structure, I believe, at Boeing changed to include DEI as a fundamental executive incentive.
I talked about this in my Boeing video, and this is a point that I know he saw on Twitter. I know for a fact he saw this on Twitter because he is talking about how the CEOs also have DEI as a priority that makes their salary go up. The post that he replied to said DEI replaced safety, which was a lie. In reality, DEI was added to the rest of the priorities, safety being another one.
Okay, but do you understand how by saying just that standards are being lowered, that you're implying that they're being lowered because people are less skilled and less intelligent, and you're talking about people of color and or women?
Look, I'm saying we should not lower standards.
But do you don't...
That's it.
Okay, congratulations, they aren't.
Why would they be lowering the standards?
I don't know. Why are they lowering the standards?
Just so you know, 5% of pilots are female, 4% are black. So you're talking about this widespread takeover of minorities and women when that's not actually true.
I'm not saying there's a widespread takeover.
Well, you're saying that the standards are being lowered because of certain people. And you don't believe in DEI, right? Do you not believe in diversity, equity, and inclusion?
I think we should be treat people according to their skills and their integrity, and that's it.
Do you know that studies show? Yeah, well, we can look them up. What?
I'm the world's richest man. I don't believe in studies because I'm so smart I don't need them. I just see a meme on Twitter and I'm like, yeah, that's my opinion now. Like, studies are what are cited in community notes. So if you're rolling your eyes at the fact that studies show things that prove you wrong, then you should probably take community notes off your fucking platform, you dumbass.
This whole idea about DEI, if you go woke or whatever, you go broke, that's not necessarily true. People with diverse leadership teams and diverse workers make more money and more innovative.
Like I said, my view is that the only basis for promoting somebody should be their skills, talents.
It's about access to those skills. People aren't born with skills, and white people have more access to training and education for those skills. That's the whole point.
Talk about trans rights and the woke mind virus, because you talk about that a lot. You're right about that a lot on the thing. You have been deeply outspoken about the issue of trans rights. You posted trans rights. You posted that pronouns in bio mean the woke mind virus ate your brain. Do you know what the term woke actually means?
It's come to mean a lot of things.
Guy who says it every day. I don't know, it means all kinds of stuff.
It's just being aware of inequities in society and being aware of facts and history.
Yeah, I think it's going to be. I think being aware of inequities in society is fine, of course, but trying to blame everything on trying to make everything a race issue is, I think, divisive and corrosive to society.
Even as it relates to trans issues, which is what I'm.
Yeah, race or gender or whatever.
I mean, you were the one that brought up pronouns in bio, so why are you making it about gender?
Blaming, you think that society blames everything on racism now?
It blames a lot of things on it, and yeah,
You think that's unfair?
yeah.
Why?
I think we should not make this a constant subject. I think we need to move on.
We need to move on, not talk about race. Just hire the best guys who just happen to be mostly white. It's a coincidence.
You don't agree that this country was founded on racism and founded on slavery and in many ways inequities? That still continue on to this day?
I think every country at that time, and I think even today, was extremely racist.
Wait, every country at the time and today was extremely racist? You saying every country is racist? Smartest man in the world.
Slavery was present in about half of this country, and no, but was not present in the north. There was racism for sure, but
Did he just say there was no slavery in the North? This is what happens when you don't go to 4th grade classes and you get all your information on Twitter. I cannot believe he thinks there was no slavery in the northern states. George Washington owned slaves.
in constant rehashing of the past. Because in fact, if you look at history, if you study history broadly, everyone was a slave. Everyone.
Oh my God. Yeah, that's a very common talking point from stupid white people. There's only a kind of slavery that ended extremely recently, and then, systematic inbuilt injustices into society that continued to last well through the 20th century, supposedly, eased by the Civil Rights Act, and then nothing else. It's over. We gotta move on.
Well, not everyone was a slave.
No,
but-
everyone was a slave.
Okay, but
Not only that, but chattel slavery and the African slave trade is an entirely different situation. It was slavery on a scale and level never seen before. It was systemic and foundational to economies.
We are all descended from slaves.
yeah. Well,
All of us.
Elon is not a descendant of the slaves that built this country, so maybe think about that.
but we are.
Is this something we want to make a part of our constant dialogue forever, or do we want to say, like, let's just move on and treat everyone, according to just who they are as an individual?
I agree with you with that. That's
I mean, who someone is as an individual encapsulates their identity as well. Like, that's part of it. So you can't ignore that and still appreciate people based on their individual merit.
but what the evidence shows is that that's not what's actually in practice.
I think we're doing better than anywhere else.
That's true. I agree.
That's not true.
That doesn't mean a lot to a whole lot of people who aren't able to take advantage of the opportunities that you were able to take advantage of, simply because the color of your skin.
What advantages did my color of my skin give me?
This man was raised in apartheid South Africa.
You were able to come to this country voluntarily. There are many people who were not able to come to the country voluntarily. There are people who came here
It was
as
very difficult
slaves.
for me to come here.
And there is a legacy of slavery that still continues on. There's a legacy of racism that still continues on in this country. That's undeniable.
Well, if we keep talking about it nonstop, it will never go away.
Well, talking about it is the problem. I know it still exists, but just ignore it and it'll go away. Don't come up with solutions. Just ignore it. That's how you solve it. Says the guy who ignores it on his platform, and it has gotten a lot worse. Demonstrably worse.
The trans rights movement, you said that it was a woke mind virus. Why do you believe the trans rights movement is a woke mind virus? What do you mean by woke mind virus?
He's never thought about it before. He doesn't think before he talks.
Listen, I'm not meaning to offend you. You're an intense person. Where does that intensity come from?
Insecurity, overinflated status, lack of expertise in anything, generally just kind of stupid. I think that's a good one.
If you do study history broadly, you'll see that there's a rise and fall to civilizations. They don't always go up. So we should do everything we possibly can to preserve and extend civilization as we know it.
He means Western civilization. And in his mind, that means white civilization. Doing everything we can to preserve and extend. It's giving 14 words. I mean,
I know you have to go. If you'll just give me, I'll do a rapid fire thing here. Is there anything that you would change about anything that you've done in your life, in the past or recently?
I've made many mistakes over the years. If I had a time machine, I'd go back and fix them. But I don't have a time machine.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
he literally talks like an 8-year-old. It's pretty astonishing. If I had a time machine, I'd go back and do it, but I don't have a time machine. I would really like to see Elon do a lot more of these interviews because people really should be pressing him on the kinds of things he's saying. He's definitely surrounded himself in a very tight echo chamber online, and he has no ability to question his own biases or his own patterns of thinking. I think it comes with narcissism, but I also genuinely don't think he's a very smart person. He's certainly not very insightful. He gets all his information from Twitter. Thank you so much for watching. If you're not subscribed already, click the subscribe button, and if you are, you can click the join button to join the channel to get a little extra content. It's just $2 a month, and it's epic.